Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. Sometimes you might need some help to adjust. Oh, yeah. I think a lot of us do. And we're here with Don Sinkfield again. Excited to have him here as a licensed mental health counselor in New York State. And excited to talk to him again about the work he's doing to really help so many people with mental health and wellness. And he's based out of Valley Stream, New York. Go to the website, helptoadjust.com. That's helptoadjust.com. And he's here to talk more about this community of therapists that are really committed to help you in New York State. So first and foremost, Don, welcome back. And would you mind just telling us a little bit about what it is you do for new-time listeners?
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, Jill. What we do is mental health counseling. Mm-hmm. And you know, it's really lost a lot of the stigma that it had at one time.
Yep.
You know, maybe in 1980s and before, it was kind of like if you had to go to counseling, people may have thought like, oh, that's only for if you're having a breakdown or, you know, you really are having a exceedingly tough time. But now it's gotten to the point where people realize that counseling is for you know, the bumps that we have in life where we can misperceive ourselves and, you know, not really see the strength that we have within. And counseling basically helps people to do that self-discovery where you can be your best self.
Beautiful. And I love the fact that you're helping so many. And I even feel like since the pandemic, I know we talked about this last time, but really we're seeing, you know, that stigma dissipate because everybody's talking about it, which is true. Everybody needs some extra help. And yeah, I'm really excited that it's more, you know, it's more well accepted, I should say. And let me just ask you, so what decided you to start this company to help so many people?
Well, you know, I started out as a teacher and then a school counselor. And, you know, when New York State brought the designation of licensed mental health counselor here, which it was really overdue, I decided that I needed to be, you know, the first to apply to become a licensed mental health counselor. Got the license in 2006, and it's been straight ahead from there. And I'm, you know, exceedingly grateful to be doing this work because I really believe that we make a difference for a lot of people. I mean, if we put together the testimonies of people who say that the work we've done with them makes a difference,
so
you know, we would have a wealth of testimonials.
Beautiful. Well, for today, I know you, well, let me ask you, what did you want to hone in on for our listeners today?
Well, you know, relationships of all kinds, you know, the family relationships, the significant other relationships, husband, wife, relationships, friendships make a difference in people's lives because I always say when you have a relationship of any kind that is significant and healthy, what you have is an ally. So, you know, I really wanted to focus on talking about how we help people to build those alliances with, you know, husbands, wives, significant others, family members. I mean, we help mothers and daughters. We do all kinds of relationships. So I wanted to kind of focus on that today.
Great. And can I just ask, I mean, is it wise to even maybe talk to someone before or in the beginning of a relationship? Let's just say it's a couples thing, right? Whether, you know, people say they get married, then they do counseling, there's problems. Is it smart, advisable to start the counseling beforehand? I mean, would that help us in the future, in the long run, if people would start earlier to talk about things before the relationship goes further? Just an idea.
Yeah, well, listen, Jill, you're a very insightful person because that's, we advise that because truly, you know, everyone comes into all kinds of relationships, including being a mother or being a father, the issues that you have before you become a parent, the issues you have before you get married or even become a significant other or move in with someone, those issues surface. And, the way I would put it is that being in a relationship will bring out your stuff. And that goes for both people in the relationship. So, yes, if you could get to someone on a preemptive level and say, yes, I would love to hash out some of the things that might be on my mind, or a good counselor, truly, even if the things aren't on your mind, they can help you to bring them forward so that they could be discussed. And people usually walk away feeling grateful, like, wow, this is great. Now, I do have to say, it's not always the case that people are preemptive about dealing with their trauma. You may hear me use the word trauma once or twice here, because the word trauma really speaks to what happens when something happens in someone's life, or something that's happening in someone's life for a period of time, really creates an emotional or psychological injury. And so it's not the thing that happened, it's the injury that happens as a result of the thing that is the trauma. And that's what is the basis for most people needing to get the counseling.
Got it. Well, thank you for sharing that. Sorry to interrupt. What else did you want to make sure we share for today? There's a lot when it comes to this.
Yeah, I think that the point that you brought up, that people need to think of therapy as something to do before there's a crisis or an emergency, is one of the things that I would say is very important. Everyone has a different level of self-awareness. Self-awareness is exactly what it sounds like. It's people's ability to see themselves, understand themselves as they are. And so, there are people who question their own thinking and motives on things, and really want to know more about themselves internally. And then there's people who focus on the world around them, sometimes by necessity. They're focusing on the world around them and what's happening in their daily life, to the point that they don't even they don't get to self-examine, or they don't really want to self-examine. And in those cases, it is great when, there's a chance for some intervention where you can learn a little bit more about what's happening within and be able to talk about it with a professional.
Got it. Well, beautiful to know. And, the work that you're doing, people come to you, and you got to also feel comfortable to who you're talking to, right? Especially if you're dealing with the relationship. Now, are you working with individuals, or you work with people together to solve their problem? Or how does that part work?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. I mean, we do work with couples together to deal directly with what's happening in their situations. And often when we work with couples, what we find is that each of the individuals may need a little bit of their own counseling. And so sometimes, you'll find that a couple comes to us, and then let's say it's just to give names to the people. Let's say it's Joe and Sheila, right? Joe will start the counseling as a couple, then start his own counseling separately, because what he realizes is, wow, there's some things that I need to work on separately from these sessions. Sheila may feel the same thing. And, I've talked about the fact that COVID-19 actually created, I think, what I would call some opportunities for people to both learn more about themselves, their relationships, and the opportunity itself for counseling, because what you had during COVID-19 is kids being home. So that brought out a lot of a lot of joy for some people, but then a lot of stress, sometimes for the same people. They may have been happy to spend the time, but then they may have realized that their children were having a hard time on, for the online sessions of school that they were doing. Joe, let's go back to Joe and Sheila. Joe may have had a job where he was gone several times a week, maybe overnight, there was just a part of the week when he was home, and then it changed to him being home all of the time. And so when two people are home together more often, what we've learned is that it really brings out more of the potential issues in the relationship. So on the intake form for counseling, there's a checkoff that simply is called home conditions bad.
Oh, what's that?
And that home conditions bad.
Okay.
So that, question is just what it sounds like. It's like anything happening in your home that makes conditions negative. People can check that off. And we found that a lot of people during COVID, home conditions were bad. And additionally,
totally.
What you have is the stress of the anxiety of COVID itself. This disease, that was literally killing people. I mean, it got better, and you had vaccines, but you had people dying, and so there was a lot of stress and anxiety related to that. And then what happened was COVID also increased the opportunity for telehealth, which means that the HIPAA compliant video sessions became the norm. And for those who don't know, HIPAA is the law that requires privacy for any medical professional, of which mental health professionals are medical professionals. And a big question is, are these sessions medically necessary? Because often when we talk to people, it does not appear to be life and death, because people are talking about emotional issues, things that are making a difference for them. But we kind of believe, unfortunately, in our culture, that things that have to do with, your heart, your liver, some kind of cancer, some kind of debilitating disease, that those things are real, and that mental issues are something that if you are tough enough and if you're made of the right metal, that you simply get through it. But on the contrary, what we're learning is that mental health is connected to physical health inextricably. There's no separating the two. Stress, anxiety, trauma affects people, in a very connected way once we learn to see the differences, learn to see the occurrences. And it's definitely happening, and it's documented.
Wow. Well, let's remind everyone all the ways we can reach out to you, if you don't mind.
My pleasure. I'm Don Sinkfield, the CEO of Help to Adjust Incorporated. We're located in Valley Stream, www.helptoadjust.com, 516-920-6407. Guaranteed to get a friendly and helpful voice on the other end. And, it's our passion to help people through this work of mental health.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right. So what else, as far as relationships, did you want to address with everyone today? Oh,
well, there's contemporary issues. Yeah, there's contemporary issues, I believe, that affect relationships. Unbelievably, one of those contemporary issues is social media and the telephone, the cell phone. People, let's say in 1995, if there was some kind of infidelity happening or even an emotional infidelity, the way you would find out would be if someone called your home and, you would see the caller ID, right? And the caller ID would have a strange number, and then you would investigate this number.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you find out that Joe
funny.
is doing something extracurricular, right? But now you have Joe has a Facebook, an Instagram, a LinkedIn. Younger people, may have Snapchat and Discord and all types of ways that people can reach out. And even the flirtation is usually started on these platforms. And so, there's a couple of elements to this. One thing is that people are watching each other's social media pages to see what kind of interactions they're having in relationships. People are watching each other in this way. The other thing is that when someone pays too much attention to social media or to the cell phone, and that can be a problem in relationships. We deal with this a lot in counseling. Oh, he will not put his phone down. He is, attached to his phone. She is saying and doing things on social media that I don't think is appropriate for a mother or a married woman or, a person in a relationship. And
so crazy.
Yeah, we really have to, deal with the way the issues have changed over the years. And let me tell you, Jill, it's really like the way it is with the phone is that people are arguing even through text message.
I know.
Yeah, so I've talked to couples and they say, well, I said something serious to him and he laughed. And, and so then when I go back and say, well, why did you laugh? Oh, when I text back, I said LOL, and then I gave my reply. Oh, so this was not face to face. This was, a text conversation. And so we often help people to get out of the communication traps of only putting things in writing and not talking to each other, because that, that can be a problem.
Sure can. My goodness. And on a daily basis, let me ask, how does it work as far as, your niche? You're helping people in relationships, you're helping helptoadjust.com, by the way, with, all different sorts of things. But now you have a community of people that are, specialize in, say, family counseling compared to the couples counseling, right?
That's right.
Oh,
that's right.
What is your specialty, or is it all?
My specialty, no. I would say my specialties are relational, all types of family, couples, and all types of relational issues, anger management, and communication. And mostly, I work with adults. Like when I was a high school guidance counselor, I talked to 14 to 18-year-olds for the most part. And when I left high school counseling, kind of became more interested in helping adults. But we have people that work directly with children. They know play therapy. So, maybe like a 7-year-old may not have the vocabulary to really say, I think it stresses me when the following thing happens. And so the way you get communication with a 7-year-old is different, of course, than how you get it with a 27-year-old, because that 7-year-old may play a game with you, and the game may bring out different issues, and then it becomes easy for that 7-year-old to say, "Oh, that's like when this happens," or something about this. Even if the child can't say it, if the child is reacting to certain things in the here and now, a good counselor can say, I see how this affects the child. And so, we have child therapists, we have family therapists, people like me who work with relationships and relational issues. We have specialists for teenagers. We also go into the schools in New York City, in Long Island, all the way to Delaware. We are working with young people, especially 12 to 18, on their issues.
Got it. Thank you for that. And, being that you mentioned children, my son actually is 7, right? I have a 7 and 9-year-old, and it's funny because I have his friend, and it's so cute the way they communicate, right? And how they speak to each other. We were just at a Halloween party yesterday, and it's just so different. But, you got to get down on that level, look in the kids' eyes, and they had a little fight yesterday, and it's like to talk about that. It's just, it's different for children, and it just breaks my heart. Oh my gosh, just thinking about how we have to talk to our kids. But it's great to know those people out there who could do so, because, sometimes kids need that extra guidance, that help. And it's just, it's to come from a parent. It's not always good. You all have the skills to handle that. And I wish, as a parent, I'm trying to learn all those skills, but I can't. When it comes to fighting with peers and, bullying and all these things that are happening in our world. And it's just so sad for children who don't know how to, maybe didn't have a guide out there, right, to learn the right way. And then they're in school, and there's counselors. And there's counselors in the school that can help with all this. But the earlier, the better, I believe, that you start to help someone, to let them start talking about their feelings and their relationships with their mom, with their, with their family members, with their friends. It's so important. I feel like a lot of people in my son's grade go to counseling. They do. My son doesn't, but he could be one of those next. But I love that that's just more open, and there's a special period where like the kids get called out of school and out of class, I should say, and there's a lot of kids that go, and I think that's good. It
is a good thing. So let me just say this: there's a popular clinician that has posed the question recently: did your kids, or when you were a child, were you able to play freely in the street? Right. And so people who are 45 and up, especially, a lot of times the answer is yes. We played in the streets. And so at those moments when we played in the streets, if you think about that, that's an unscripted, unregulated time when kids figured out things for themselves without an adult saying, no, you're going to share. Don't do that. You're going to do this. No direction. Kids figured out things for themselves. And often there was some lumps that came with that. But then in many instances, I believe that kids did learn to self-regulate because of those unscripted moments. And now we have proof that social media and increased screen time actually makes for worse outcomes when it comes to mental health, anxiety, depression. So, we have our work cut out for us. And like you said, parents are also trying to learn cues and tools so that they can help their young people too. And parents, let me say this to you: you are more equipped than you know, because really what kids need is an open ear and a little guidance. There is no going back to the old days where
the old days,
media wasn't there. It's just real.
Oh, so true. All right. Well, we still got a minute and a half left. How did you want to kind of wrap up today's show about relationships and about the importance of speaking to a mental health counselor?
Well, what I would say is an issue that we started out with, Jill, and that is that it is not for those in crisis only. And, people make that mistake of believing that mental health counseling, a social worker, a psychologist, a social emotional learning specialist, that these people are here for people who are in crisis. And there's still even parents who are like, believe that their children may tell too much of their business, and they don't want their children saying anything to people that may be troublesome for the family. But the best of the professionals out here know that everyone needs a little help sometimes, right? And so I always say, low stakes, high yield, right?
Got it.
Low
That makes sense. Yep.
Right? You go and you share with a mental health professional, you really don't have very much to lose, because unless you say that I'm going to hurt someone, or my child's going to hurt someone, or we're going to hurt ourselves.
Got it.
It's confidential. And, we really need to get the culture even more pushed to the point that people know that, that the yield that they get from sharing is better than holding it in.
All right. Thank you, Don. One more time, tell us how we can reach you.
Don Sinkfield, Help to Adjust Inc., helptoadjust.com, 516-920-6407. We're right in Valley Stream, but, we work with all of New York State. So please reach out if you need the assist.
All right. Thanks so much, Don. We will. Hopefully we'll connect again next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Can I touch this? Where does sand come from? Is this tree good for climbing? What happens if I mix these two things together? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Storing your guns securely is the best way to prevent family fire, including unintentional shootings. For more information on safe gun storage and ways to keep your family safe, visit endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org.
What do we keep in the attic? What's this thing called? Can I ride my bike backwards?
Like I said, kids are curious. It's up to us to keep them safe. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.